Hi, welcome back to the channel. As you can see behind me here, we got the cab on the Ranger, and we're going to be working on the rear axle today. But first, we'll go over what we've done so far, kind of give you a quick update, and then we'll jump into the rear axle there. So as you can see, the cab is on the frame, it's bolted down, and we got the rear axle back out. Got the back end jacked up for that, and pretty much everything clear as we want to. A little tight there in the back. We did install the alternator there. Did a custom bracket for that. Gonna have to pull that back off and remake it. Didn't have some clearances for the turnbuckle. But anyway, got that done. I don't know if you can see it from over here. I'll probably shoot some photos in for you. But we finished off the remote oil filter. Built the lines and installed the oil pressure sender for the Ecoboost wiring harness. There's a little oil pressure sender on there, and I don't think I have the part number, but I took a photo of it. Anyway, a little gates fitting. The Montoon adapter has a 1/8 inch pipe, but the fitting for that pressure gauge is actually a 1/4 inch pipe, so I had to go with it was kind of a hard one to find, but Gates does make it, and it's a 90-degree 1/8 inch male to 1/4 inch female pipe, and I'm pretty sure I took a photo. If I did, I'll put it in there for you. It's a really tight fit getting all that put in there, as far as in between the fittings themselves, trying to get them tight. They're kind of interfering, but I got it all done, got that secured, got my clutch line adapter put in there, just waiting on the actual clutch line. So once that's all done, we plumb some of that. But anyway, going back to the rear axle here, got our 8.8 sitting here, did measurements, figure out kind of reference point, got measured from this brake backing plate here. So we did this part right here, not this part, because this is cast and this would have been a machine surface, so it should be equal on both sides here. And I came up with 53 7/8 on the width, and now we're going to go over here and figure out the width of the spring perch on the factory axle. If you're familiar with Rangers, you might be familiar with the Ranger Station forum. They have a tech section, and they refer to the spring perch center to center as 38.5, but I did a quick tape measure on here, and it was 39, so I brought this in, gonna put some straight edges on there, because it's kind of hard when you got the hump of that differential to try to get a good measurement. So if I put some straight edges on each side and the measure between those out farther past the differential, then I can get an accurate measurement. And then we'll mark up this guy right here, and we can set our perches on there, know the width of it, slide it up underneath here, set it down, get our ride height, and then we can set our pinion angle with the right ride height and tack it down, pull it back out, and finish welding it. But in order to get correct vibration, well, to eliminate vibrations in the drive shaft, we want to make sure that our pinion angle is correct. Anytime you're doing something custom like this, you never really know what your pinion angle is going to end up to be. So anyway, we'll go ahead and take some measurements, mock everything up, and put it back underneath here. So this might look a little funny, but strapped an engine block to the back there. So we want to get the truck at ride height, and in order to do that, I had to get some weight in the back because we don't have a bed. And I had another truck to take a reference measurement from the top of the leaf spring to that hole in the frame there. If you didn't have a spare truck, you'd probably want to take some measurements before pulling it all apart. Anyway, so needed it ride height in order to set the pinion angle. Got that all set up here. Go around and show you our angle gauge there is reading 00. Oh, for some reason it won't focus. But anyway, just used a simple bottle jack to jack it up till it lined up there, referenced off of the dry shaft. Because this has a 2-piece dry shaft, so we're matching the angle of the dry shaft, which is in line with the transmission. If you had a 1-piece, you'd match the angle of the transmission. So anyway, got that all lined up. Got my marks on my axle tube on where everything's supposed to be. Everything's lined up there. So we'll go ahead and put some tacks on there and then roll it out and do full welds on it. So we got the axle pulled back out here and currently working on welding the spring purchase on there, kind of doing it in steps, not to heat up the axle too much. And we'll grab one of these here. So we got the old axle sitting here, got it leveled up. I'm going to take measurements for those shock brackets. Those guys right there. I got one over on that side there. And when I got some stuff made at the local fab shop, I had these new shock brackets made to kind of mimic the old ones, but with I think it's 3 1/4 inch axle tube for the 8.8. Anyway, so got that matched up with the radius on the new axle tube. Going to take measurements off of this axle to properly locate the brackets. Going to do a location from center line to this surface here, and we'll also take our angle gauge and measure the angle on that so that we can just put it on the other axle, stick it on there, slide over and match the angle and weld it on there. It should all be good. So anyway, gonna finish up the welding on this, then level this guy out and weld up these brackets. So I made a bunch of progress here between the last clip. Got the axle fully bolted in there and painted. Got the shock mounts all welded on and the shocks in there. They work pretty good, both sides. And we also bent up our brake lines and then made little tabs there and welded onto the spring perch to hold the brake line. Got the parking brake routed, and our upper bracket, or our rear bracket I would say, for the track bar setup. So eventually make a front bracket there, and still kind of figuring out what I want to do with that, and then have a tube go between there. Measured up for the drive shaft, and called up a shop, and they're in the process of making that, but I think they were like a 2 to 3 week lead time, but no real rush in that. This isn't going to be on the road that soon. So yeah, I got the rear axle in there. Pretty happy with that how that turned out. Just painted a basic gloss engine black to make it, I don't know, look somewhat factory. Didn't need anything too ridiculous on that. A little moving forward on some other progress here. Got some bucket seats in here. These are out of a parts truck I bought, and I don't know if I talked about this earlier, but pretty much I had to weld in factory bracing to into the bottom of the cab in order for it to accept these bucket seats. It had like dimples where everything needed to be drilled and cut and everything, but it didn't have the bracing or the bolts or the nuts down into the cab. So did all that, and we got the factory shifter right here, kind of figuring out how we want to set that up. We're going to get I think it's a MGK shifter that they sell for the Mustangs, but what's kind of cool about them is that they offer one that is closer to the transmission than factory. I think they do like a 4.5 inch and 6 inch forward from factory location. So we're going to go ahead and go with the 4.5 inch one forward. It gets at about that position there, which is really comfortable when you're sitting in there. Electric gas pedal, should probably have a light in here, but or electric throttle pedal in there. And Might be a little hard to see it from up here, but we got a braided stainless line back there with some Earl's AN adapters that went right into the factory Ford clutch master cylinder for this Ranger, and then adapted it to AN or JIC fitting, and then ran that down. And they also have an adapter that goes into a more modern style clutch line hookup on the transmission. So a nice little 2-foot braided line between there. And started working on some of the brakes. I've got the brakes hydraulics pretty much all done on the rear. This is a line lock here we got from Jegs for the front brakes. Got some more adapters from Earl's there. Hopefully this focuses in for you. They have all sorts of different adapters. That one goes from a 7/16 inverted flare to a -3 AN, and then got a Gates fitting down there on the line lock that goes from -3 JIC to -2 pipe, so pretty much 1.25" to -3 AN. Anyway, also got a new master cylinder for that. That one's the original one. So a little more to do with the brakes. Got a start of a, I guess you'd call it a hoon handle. So I'm gonna have a nice bar that comes out here for grabbing onto that. Still got to figure out mounting of that back here, and then run brake lines for that. Did fuel pump, upgraded to like, I think it was a 255 liter per minute Walboro fuel pump. Meets the specs of what the Ecoboost setup needs, and it was pretty easy. This one was meant for like a Fox body Mustang, but it pretty much dropped in right where the Ranger pump was. So fuel's done. I'm still waiting on fuel line. Well, should have that all plumbed and probably be test starting this thing by now. But I got all the fittings, but it's the -6 fuel line. They're on back order. I ordered this stuff in like August and supposed to be here at the end of November. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, just kind of chugging along, doing some stuff on here. Have more lines to hook up. Gonna start doing some wiring, ordering some parts for that. Have a list here of stuff I need to do. Got a airbox kind of designed up here. It's just a piece of cardboard kind of checking the fit, but have that designed in CAD. Also have a battery box designed for there. I just need to get those made. Need to get a new alternator bracket, because that one there, I mean, it works, but some of the dimensions weren't quite right on some things, so need to get those corrected. And we got ordering some some exhaust pipe. Got some grommets for the firewall where I drilled some holes through, doing the wiring and some other things, and then I'll just have to buy some more parts once. Gonna call up the company for the shifter tomorrow, tell them what I needed, and I think they said that was about a 2-week lead time. Get that coming. Once that's here, install it. So yeah, it's come along pretty good. It doesn't have a bed on there, but once you get now it's just all the little stuff, all the hard stuff is actually done. I mean, the axle's in, the transmission, the engine's in, the cab's on. Now it's just all the little stuff to make it happen. But pretty soon we'll be starting her up and burning some tires.